You know, building just one great AI agent? That's tough. But what about building an entire team of them, all working together on some complex task? Well, that's a whole other level of difficulty. So how do you get them to talk to each other, manage their workflow, and then deploy them without pulling your hair out? Let's talk about a toolkit that's designed to solve exactly that.
And that toolkit is the Agent Development Kit, or ADK for short. Now, you can think of it as a complete client-side SDK, and that just means it runs right on your own machine, for defining and building these really sophisticated multi-agent applications. It's got the whole shebang: the core building blocks, orchestration tools, and even cool features like code execution, debugging, and super easy deployment. So for this explainer, we're actually going to walk through the whole developer lifecycle that the ADK sets up for you. We'll start with just the basic idea of our agent, then we'll build it out with some powerful tools, run and debug it right there on our local machine, and finally push it to the cloud. It's a really clear path from A to Z, from idea to live application. All right, so where do we even start? How do you actually build with the ADK? Well, the best way I've found to think about it is like you're playing with a set of super smart Lego bricks. It all starts with a few fundamental pieces that you can snap together in some incredibly powerful ways.
Okay, so the first and honestly the most important piece you need to know about is the agent. This is your core worker unit, right? It's that smart Lego brick we were just talking about. Each agent you create is designed to do one specific job really, really well, whether that's understanding language, controlling a workflow, or running some totally custom logic.
But, you know, a plain brick is just a brick. How do we make these agents powerful? Well, we give them tools. A tool's kind of like a special attachment you snap onto your Lego brick. It gives the agent all these new abilities that go way beyond just chatting. With tools, an agent can connect to external APIs, run code, or even call on other agents to help out. Now, what's cool is that the ADK doesn't just give you one type of smart brick. You actually get a few different kinds to play with. Everything technically starts from a base agent, but you're usually going to work with one of three main types. There are LLM-based agents for reasoning, workflow agents for controlling the flow of execution, and custom logic agents for when you need to build something totally unique.
So that begs the question, right? How do you pick the right one? Well, it's pretty straightforward. If you need something that can reason, be creative, and use tools on the fly, you're going to reach for an LLM agent. But if you need a process that's super predictable, like do this, then do that, the workflow agent is your best friend. And for literally everything else, when you need to write your own custom rules from scratch, you just build a custom agent.
Okay, we've got our basic building blocks down. Now for the really fun part. Let's talk about giving your agent some honest-to-goodness superpowers. The ADK is packed with these advanced features that can take your project from a simple little script to something truly state-of-the-art.
I mean, just to give you a taste, we're talking about things like on-the-fly Python code execution, seamless agent-to-agent collaboration, and even real-time two-way voice and video streaming. It's wild. For now, let's just zoom in on one of my absolute favorites, code execution.
Just look at how simple and direct this is. You can literally just tell the agent what you want it to be, in plain English. This is a real instruction you'd give to an LLM agent, and it automatically equips it with this built-in code executor. You're not fussing with complex logic. You're just describing its job. It's awesome.
And here's where the magic happens. You give it a math problem like this. The agent just goes off, writes and executes the Python code it needs behind the scenes, and bam, it gives you the right answer. Now, why is this so important? Because it lets your agent do complex calculations or data manipulation that would be completely impossible for a language model on its own.
So as you start building more and more agents and combining them, each with their own superpowers, things can get messy and fast, right? How do you handle stuff like API keys, shared resources, and just the overall life of your application? Let's look at how the ADK helps you keep things organized and scalable.
The answer to all that complexity is something called the app class. I want you to think of this as the master container for your entire project. It's technically optional, but I highly recommend you use it. It basically separates all the operational stuff, the infrastructure, from the specific logic of your individual agent.
And look, I'm not kidding when I say this. Using the app class is probably the single most important thing you can do to take your project from just a weekend hack to a real production-ready application. It solves so many headaches by giving you one central place for all your configuration. It manages your resources cleanly with startup and shutdown hooks, and it basically turns your project into a formal deployable unit.
And hey, speaking of production ready, you absolutely need resilience. What happens if your network cuts out during a really long job? Well, with the ADK's resumability feature, you can actually set up your app to pick up right where it left off. That avoids that massive frustration of having to start the entire thing over from scratch. It's a lifesaver.
All right, so you've designed your agents, you've given them tools, you've even structured them inside a nice, scalable app. Now what? Well, it's time for the final step in our developer journey, getting your creation out into the real world. And the ADK makes this surprisingly pain-free.
Yeah, it really just boils down to a simple 4-step process. First, you get your Google Cloud project ready to go and turn on the APIs you need. Second, you authenticate your local computer so it can talk to the cloud. Third, and this is the best part, you run a single command. And fourth, you're testing your agent, which is now live and running in the cloud.
You know, one of the little things that can always trip you up in any cloud deployment is just finding the right IDs and keys. This here shows you exactly where to find your Google Cloud Project ID right in the console. And here's a pro tip, make sure you grab the alphanumeric ID, not the project number. That little detail can save you a whole lot of head scratching later on.
And this is the magic command right here, ADK deploy. This one single tool does everything for you. It packages up your code, builds it all into a container, and deploys it to the Managed Agent Engine service on Google Cloud. I mean, it takes what could easily be dozens of manual steps and just squashes it down into one simple line.
Okay, so let's just take a breath and step back for a second to recap everything we've just covered. We've literally gone on a journey from the most fundamental building blocks of AI agents all the way to a live, cloud-hosted application. And honestly, this whole flow represents a massive leap forward in making this kind of sophisticated AI accessible to all of us developers.
So what are the big takeaways here? It's pretty simple, really. First, you build your systems using these modular agents and tools. Second, you give those agents incredible superpowers, like code execution or letting them talk to each other. Third, you manage all that growing complexity with the app class. And finally, you go live with a simple deployment command. That's the whole workflow. So yeah, the Agent Development Kit gives you this really clear, super powerful, end-to-end path for creating these multi-agent systems. It hands you all the components, the structure, and the pipeline to get it deployed. So really, the only question left to ask is, what are you going to create first?